no traffic. All right, so I had to erase the live stream I did earlier this morning because something I said on there. So I don't want to put myself at risk, for them to start back to casing and microscoping my channel. So I've been in good standing, and I'm in good strides. Channel was growing, so I'm gonna be cool for right now. Of course I'm gonna be who I am, but at the end of the day, there's still certain dialogue you can't use, and you don't even want to put yourself in a position, to where they just start back to bothering you. And I'm been getting off the shadow ban, so I got to keep it that way. That's one of the reasons why I don't have the subscriber base that I have, because all the years that I was shadow banned for my content. But let's just talk about Regis. I'm gonna get to Regis, I'm gonna get to Canelo, and I'm gonna get to Jamal Charlo basically looking like he may not fight Canelo, and I think he has every right to turn that fight down, and it won't be a duck. I guess he may be feeling like, okay, Canelo trying to once again take advantage of a situation. And the more you find out stuff about Canelo, you start to question him as a fighter. You start to question his legacy. You look at Canelo, he's always looked for an advantage from him, weight draining people, creating weight classes. It's just that Canelo has always tried to take advantage of a situation. And you can sit up there and try to talk about somebody else, because that's what they like to do. They like to try to deflect. Well, what about so-and-so? Well, like I said, we ain't talking about so-and-so. We talking about the fighter from Guadalajara. But with that being said, I've really been evaluating and looking at this thing, based off, what we saw in past fights. And you only as good as your next fight. People are saying that Regis got exposed. I wouldn't exactly say exposed. He fought a style that he wasn't accustomed to. At the end of the day, he did his best, and he still won the fight. Like I said before, watching that fight, it was just very hard. It was very hard to watch that fight, because based off the fact that the dude, the challenger, he just really wasn't trying to engage, and you just have to keep it a buck. Now, there are going to be people that don't like Regis, or they may be in favor of another fighter that may be a future or potential opponent for Regis, and I get that. But I think to use the word exposed, I don't think that's the appropriate word or terminology to use for Regis. It was just that the dude he fought, he just interested in really trying to engage. He was in survival mode pretty much throughout the fight, and the dude just, for the most part, he stunk up the joint, because he thought, look, you fighting in the guy's hometown, you got to really go out there and win that fight. And see, that's the difference between Devin Haney and George Kambosos Jr. Devin Haney went in there not once but twice and flat out won the fight. And then, not to mention, Regis took that fight on short notice. It was supposed to be somebody else. So that's why it's pros and cons of fighting a replacement opponent. Because, Regis said he did research on him, but just watching that fight, or New York, they would have started booing that dude. And Regis deserved the win, because he was forcing the action. He was coming forward. But I think Regis got a little antsy, because he got irresponsible at times, throwing punches that he knew he wasn't going to be able to land on that dude, just throwing punches just to be throwing punches. And at the end of the day, if you don't connect, every punch you throw, that take the wind out of you. That takes, because at the end of the day, it's still conditioned. Every time you throw a punch, you lose a little bit of wind. And if you constantly throwing punches, you're not landing, then as the fight goes on, you're gonna start to gas out and get tired. That's why you condition yourself to go a certain amount of rounds. And Regis is 34. Then another thing, you look at some of the inactivity with Regis. He was ducked. People wasn't in a hurry to get in the ring with Regis because of his power. So he was ducked. And that's factual. But now, based off this performance, people like, maybe right now he might be ripe for the picking. He does have a title. And then it was funny that Devin Haney called Eddie Hearn, basically hinting that, hey, let's see what's up. I mean, if he does go to Matchroom, he does get he would more than likely get a title shot. But I would like to see what's gonna go on with Teofimo Lopez and him vacating the belt, because reports said he's vacated the belt and that he really is hell bent on retirement, which I think that Teofimo will pop back up. I think at best he may take a year off and get his head straight, which that's okay. Because when you in the boxing business, the hurt business, you do need to come into these fights 100% focused. You can't drift off into space. When you fighting, you got to have your mind set on that fight, because you in the ring with a guy, you got a dude throwing punches trying to knock your head off. So you do need to be focused. You need to be zeroed in. You need to be locked in. So if he's not 100% focused on boxing, yeah, he do need to take some time off. And I think that's the right thing to do. But like I said before, to me, as far as Team Haney go, they in a good position. They weighing their options. They haven't really made a decision, because they could like, you know, basically tell the sanctioned bodies, okay, well, depending on who they are, like, I still want to keep my belt at 135, but I will go up to 140 and give it a try and see could I get a, you know, title fight at 140. And then if I'm successful, then maybe I will, like, basically vacate. But I would have to, you know, like I said before, Devin Haney is in a good position right now. He in a good position. Now, I've been told, like I said, behind the scenes what they gonna do, you know, but like I said before, I've been told not to tell until, you know, basically they break the news. So, you know, you got to respect that. But I will say this much. I mean, if you Devin Haney and you look at what happened with Regis, you got to say, did he age overnight, or it could just be it was just the opponent he fought. Like, that's why they had that cliche Styles make fights. Regis is used to fighting dudes that basically stand in front of him, that basically want to trade, and then you have to look at Regis. Regis got like short arms. I don't know what his reach is, but you can look at his, you know, he doesn't have like extended range. So he has to do all his damage trying to get up close and fight you on the inside, land body shots, land jabs. You know, he doesn't use his, use the stick jab to see how much distance he got in between, you know, how much distance he got with his opponent to where he can get all shots. He likes for them to come to him to where he can try to get off his offense, and then try to counter. So, you know, like I said before, we'll have to see. All right, so now it's looking like, let me get to Jermall Charlo. Now, it's looking like Jermall Charlo may not fight Canelo. And at the end of the day, I mean, it really would come down to how many zeros is at the end of the check. But he looking at the fact that, hey, you trying to fight me? I ain't fought in 2 years. Because now it looks as if Canelo is just circling the wagon. And that he literally trying to, you know, see what type of fruit he can pick from the cherry tree. Because the walls are closing in on Canelo. Like I said before, Canelo been billed as this balls to the wall dude that'll fight anybody and doesn't matter. He'll fight anybody, which that's never been true. He'll fight certain people, and if he can dictate the terms and have every advantage in the ring he can, from basically the judges to basically controlling somebody's weight, yeah, then he'll do it. And at the end of the day, I'm tired of hearing this stuff about he the cash cow. Well, if you so great, you should be able to people without all these terms, all these conditions, all these stipulations. And like I said before, I have no reason not to believe Badou Jack, because that sounds about right with Canelo. You wanted to face him for his title, but you wanted him because you was concerned about the weight. You wanted him to put his title on the line at 180 pounds, and then you wanted a rehydration clause. And Badou Jack is 39. So at the end of the day, you wasn't really trying to fight the best Badou Jack that you could possibly get. And like I said before, Canelo got a history of doing this crap. And then when you pointed out, then typical Canelo stands or fanboys, they'll try to come on here and bring up somebody else. Oh, well, so-and-so did it. Well, like I said before, that don't work on my channel. You're not going to sit up here and try to deflect and try to boomerang and try to say, oh, well, you know, Floyd wasn't putting all these stipulations, trying to control people's weight and rehydration and all that kind of stuff. He fought a couple of catchweight fights, but he wasn't putting rehydration clauses like Canelo was doing. Because Canelo right now, he figured out what he would do. He doesn't really want to fight Dimitri Bivol, because Dimitri Bivol said, okay, since you made excuses why you lost to me at 175, okay, I'll come down to 168, and I want you to put all your titles on the line. And then Dimitri Bivol said, okay, also, I'm not accepting a rehydration clause, which you would try to do if I come down to 168. I already beat you. I beat you once. I beat you decisively. So I have a little bit of juice in negotiations, which he should. And so, like I said, Canelo is trying to figure out what he want to do. What would be his next legitimate fight that he could try to sell to the public? And then he had and then people could talk about the John Ryder fight. John Ryder was put in there for Canelo to stop. And Canelo had every advantage. He had that Cracker Jack box ring, and he still couldn't get the dude out of there. And Canelo hasn't looked good in his last three fights, including Bivol. Couldn't stop a 40-plus-year-old Triple G. Figuring out or trying to figure out what they're gonna do. If they can't get the Charlo fight, then what? And then it appears he has no interest whatsoever in fighting David Benavidez. And like I said, I'm the dude that's finna, address the elephant in the room. Why in the hell would you go back to PBC and fight a PBC fighter in Jamal Charlo, who hasn't fought in 2 years, who's still campaigning technically at 160, but you would ask him to come up to 168 and fight you? Because Canelo has already said that he's not going back down to 160 because he can't make the weight anymore. So why would you fight Jamal Charlo but not fight David Benavidez, who's already at the weight class that you are currently campaigning in, weight class that you are currently standing as the undisputed champion? That would clearly come across as a duck. That's fact. So I'm opening up that discussion. That would look really bad on Canelo. And how would Canelo fans be able to explain and justify that? You couldn't. It will clearly be a duck. A couple of days ago, my channel was saying that I'm racing towards Canelo because I want him to fight David Benavidez, which that didn't make any kind of sense. I just blocked dude, because that was like the dumbest comment I ever heard. Like, toward Canelo wanting him to fight David Benavidez. I'm not Mexican. And last time I checked, David Benavidez was Mexican. His father is Mexican. So, like, I just want to see. So, like, this. I just thought that was, like, absurd. sometimes people don't really think before they start typing in the comment section. That was just dumb. I want him to fight David Benavidez because that would be the most credible opponent out there for Canelo to fight. If Canelo could beat a young buck and David Benavidez, then that would shed a lot of people up. He would be fighting David Benavidez pretty much in his prime, David Benavidez being 25, 26. And then coming off that performance versus Caleb Plant, it makes all the sense in the world. And plus, that fight in all likelihood would be a financial success. I think Canelo and David Benavidez, if they fight September the 16th, I think they could pack the Raiders Stadium. So I'm like, why not? But I just found that laughable when somebody said that to me. That just didn't make any kind of damn sense. But if Jermall Charlo turns Canelo down, I don't blame him. Because it's like, dude, you trying to, like, once again, you trying to pull a fast one. You basically trying to use my name to try to legitimize a fight that doesn't make any kind of sense. To me, it doesn't make any kind of sense for him to sit up there and say, okay, well, now I'll fight an inactive Jermall Charlo. That looks bad on Canelo, and it just take dudes like me to just say it, because at the end of the day, I have no horse in the race. If I'm Jermall, I wouldn't take that fight either. I'm like, dude, at least let me get a tuned-up fight in, and then we can have this conversation like maybe later on. But then the question is Jermall healthy enough to get back in the ring? And at the end of the day, it's still Canelo. I'm not saying Canelo is a scrub, but then I'm saying at the same time, I'm just saying, okay, Canelo is basically trying to take advantage of a situation. He tried to finesse. Now, if Jermall Charlo had been active, fine. If he didn't had, 3 fights within a year and a half, 2-year calendar year, they're fine. But you ain't fought 2 years, so like, just stop the cap. We gotta stop playing these games, man. And that's just real talk. So I am waiting to see what's gonna be the next move for Canelo. And if I'm Jermall Charlo, I wouldn't sell out just for a payday against Canelo, and basically a fight that he's gonna have all the advantages in, and that he taking the fight because he feel like, due to my inactivity, that gives him an advantage and the best chance to win that fight, instead of me having some fights. You talking about basically sitting down. You talking about basically sitting down. You've been sitting down for 2 years. So nah, but we'll see. Like I said, if you put enough zeros behind the check, it may make anybody change their mind. But if Jermall has, enough integrity and pride to say, nah, man, I want to be at 100%. I need a tune-up fight before we go this route. So yeah. But anyway, that's all I have to say. This your boy Town. I'm out.